Yeah, and okay, and shall I use the headset or no?
You can hang up the phone now, Dr. Fain. Sorry, guys, we had a little temporary outage there for a second again, but we are back and live, and so we will go ahead and get started because it is 5 o'clock. And the audio is sounding good to me, Dr. Fain. I think you're just fine. You won't have to have the
No,
headphones on.
I'd rather not.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So let me make sure everything is working properly here. If you're attending the webinar and you see Dr. Fain and the audio sounds good and everything, please let us know down in the chat room so I know everything is working correctly.
And want to mention to everybody that I'm not dressed up with my coat, and it's because it's a very warm day here today in Northwest Arkansas, beautiful Eureka Springs, and the air conditioning is working hard, and it's just a little too uncomfortable to be wearing my coat and looking gussied up for the webinar. So hang with me, and I hope you're as comfortable as I am.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we are good to go. Everything is operating correctly. So let's go ahead and move in to the slideshow. Dr. Fain, as everyone knows, the wonderful Dr. Fain, you should be able to see him on screen, is here with us.
You know, one of the problems with being formerly blonde, is that I blush easily, and I'm white on top of that. So when you say all of those superlatives about me, I'm probably just blushed and look like I've been taking niacin, you know, because of my facial flush. So at the moment, I'm not.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, my name is Heath Redding. I'll be hosting the webinar with Dr. Fain here and running the slideshow. So if y'all have any questions or if y'all have any issues during the webinar, feel free to let me know down in the chat room below, and I'll attempt to make changes to the size of the screen, or if there's any audio issues, just let us know. I want to go ahead and go over tonight's schedule. We have it divided up into 3 parts. We're talking about hair, skin, and nails, as y'all know. Part 1 is health and nutrition of hair, skin, and nails. Part 2 will be the role of hormones. Part 3 is the supplements to take, which benefit those things. And then at the end, we will have our live Q&A as usual with Dr. Fain. You can ask him any health-related questions, not just those pertaining to the webinar necessarily. We're happy to answer any and all that we can. These webinars usually last about an hour, so we're intending to go to about 6 p.m., maybe a few minutes over, since we're getting somewhat of a late start here. And then at the end, this is the first time we've ever done this, but we're having a live contest drawing. So during the webinar, we're having a special offer. You can click the button below the screen here, and it takes you to our eBay store, and we have 15% off our hair, skin, and nails product. Now, the contest is for anyone that purchases hair, skin, and nails tonight during the webinar. You'll be entered into the contest to win a free bottle of our probiotic. You're going to have to say this. What is it? Supremadophilus?
Exactly right. You said it perfectly.
Cool. All right. So, yeah, if you purchase hair, skin, and nails, you get entered into the contest. And at the end of this webinar, after our Q&A session, we will be randomly choosing a winner to get a free bottle of this probiotic. So, without further ado, Dr. Fain, I'm going to go ahead and move into part 1, and you can take it from here, good sir.
Very good. Hair, skin, and nails. You know, people judge us by what we look on the outside. Of course, the content of the material on the inside is what truly makes us the individuals that we are. I heard it said just the other day, very poetically, that science helps us understand the world. Art gives us the purpose of the world. And what we're going to be talking about today is the art of health and the art of science, applying science to health and healing. The very interesting thing is that most people don't associate healthy skin, hair, and nails with the inside of the body. Everything starts with proper digestion. All health begins with proper digestion. Without proper digestion, we don't get the nutrients that we need. Nutrient absorption can be interfered with in many ways. Sometimes it's simple over-the-counter medicines that we take. Sometimes it's prescribed drugs. Sometimes our bodies just aren't like other people's bodies, and we don't absorb things very well. And it sets off a cascade of events internally. Most people know that to improve skin, they certainly don't want to be smoking a lot of cigarettes and cigars, and don't want to be drinking a lot of alcohol. And the purpose behind that is that these enjoyable to some aspects of life certainly do put different chemical compounds in our bodies, which does change how our bodies respond to producing healthy new cells. The skin health comes from inside primarily and then moves outside. So improving digestion, improving your choice of foods is primary, followed by many other topics which we'll touch into. The first thing you want to do is to have as good a diet as you can possibly have, giving yourself leeway to do splurges here and there, but not overboard and not too often. I'm not saying being an ascetic. That doesn't work very well for most human beings over the long haul. We call people who are more ascetic purists. And often you'll find with purists that they have some of the biggest ailments in the world going on, and they just tighten down and tighten down. As we tighten down from an emotional point of view, we interfere with and tighten up blood flow, and we tighten up our bellies. And without good blood flow, nothing works very well, nothing heals very well. And as we tighten up our bellies, certainly we're not digesting food as we would normally do it. So choosing good foods, fresh at the market, green, yellow, red vegetables, small amounts of protein, and very little whole grain is what's currently considered to be the way to go. The basic food plans that I'm describing here would be the paleo diet, which emphasizes more protein, and then the Mediterranean diet, which is a small amount of virtually anything except refined foods and fast foods. And then we look at something like the South Beach food plan, which at the very beginning of the South Beach plan is a wonderful weight loss program, but it really does turn you right back over to the paleo type diet and the Mediterranean type diet, low glycemic index choices, meaning low sugar choices. The more sugars we put in our body, the higher the internal oxidation happens inside of our body. As the oxidation occurs, free radicals form and negative things begin to happen in our body. And more insulin has to be produced. The fat has to store more insulin. The fat gets to a point where it can't store more insulin, so we become insulin resistant. The insulin stays in our systems longer, causes more irritation on the inside of the body, and those free radicals are caused again, and more ailments occur that are chronic in nature. So it's really, bottom lining it is reducing these irritants to the insides of our bodies, making sure digestion is good. One of the easiest ways to do that is to simply use a single probiotic capsule, a good quality probiotic capsule, each and every day. A dozen families and billions, and in a product that has been made to withstand the stomach acids in our bodies. Think about it. The more stomach acid you have, the less bacteria is going to get into your small bowel where it needs to do its work. It's one of the reasons we have stomach acid, besides helping with the digestion aspects. Stomach acid kills bacteria. And bacteria, good bacteria, is called probiotics, pro meaning for life, as opposed to antibiotics, which we're all familiar with for getting rid of infections. The probiotics, once they get past the stomach, break down in the small bowel, which is a different pH altogether. It's very alkaline there. Helps us repopulate, and this repopulation will actually do many, many things, including improving the immune system, which reduces the probability of getting seborrhea, psoriasis, eczema, because that comes from the inside of the body and moves out. In most people, it causes an irritation of the underlying skin that moves out to the surface of the skin, and we get these chronic rashes. Something like adding pycnogenol along with probiotics and proper vitamin D, and then using a topical salve on those ailments that show up like that has been very useful for many people. If you're having troubles with digestion, then and you're not sure what that's about, call me. We can either set up an actual consultation, which is really good because that's comprehensive, or we can do something over the phone, and we can do that pretty quickly, but it may not be as thorough, it won't be as thorough as doing an actual consultation. And once you do either mail order from us or buy online, you have our expertise to back whatever you wish to do in your life in terms of health and healing your body and healing your lifestyle. The digestion's first and foremost, and probiotics, adding something like pycnogenol if you've got skin diseases, great thing to do. Now, talking about the surface care of the skin, that has to do with using mild and tepid, not hot, soap and water, and not overdoing any of the above. I was asked one day about, well, how often should I shampoo my hair? And the manufacturers of shampoo have doubled their sales simply by putting the instruction on the bottle on how to use their product by saying shampoo, rinse, repeat. Think about it. They double their sales because you're doing it twice. If you've shampooed with a good quality mild shampoo, there's no reason or need to do a second application, which is going to dry out your hair over the long haul in all likelihood. The second thing to bear in mind is on the skin itself, for not for any kind of ailment set, but for just good skin tone and skin color and such. Basically, you want to keep the moisture on the inside of the skin and not let it evaporate into the atmosphere. During the summertime, of course, that's a problem with the heat outdoors. In the wintertime, that's the trouble with dry heat indoors. And many people have flare-ups of seborrhea, psoriasis, eczema in the wintertime, both for that dry heat, and the secondary reason is not having enough vitamin D for being out in the world and getting some sun exposure and such, which is awfully hard to do anyway, even in the summertime. So any kind of lotion that you like that agrees with your skin, that's relatively clean and easy to use, is the way to go, and use a good deal of it. When you see dry skin, your skin is saying help. And that can be approached from the inside, but it needs to be approached from the outside too. Don't overwash. Use a mild soap. Antibacterial soap I don't think is needed by anybody. Soap is antibacterial all on its own without any chemicals in it. And so I'm not much of a fan of antibacterial soap. Get yourself a nice, mild soap that is moisturizing, that you like, that's not overly done, with lots of perfumes and chemicals, and do that. We have some good choices here in the Herbaceae for that. And if you wanted to call Robin or Ginger, and Ginger is exceptional with this kind of skincare, Robin is marvelous. She's been with me a long, long time. You can call, find out from them what we have. You can place a mail order very easily, getting free advice from Robin or Ginger about this, and virtually anything else. If they don't know what to do, they will always ask me. I'll get back with you either through them or directly, so I can guide you with that. The fluid intakes, people say, well, I have to drink X amount of water every day. Well, that's kind of silly. No, you don't. What you have to do is to drink enough water every day. And water comes to you in your food as well as in anything that you drink. What I do recommend is to not to overdo caffeine, and certainly I'm not a fan of sugary drinks, whether that's fruit juice or soft drinks. I'm not much of a fan of that, and I definitely don't believe that artificially sweetened drinks of any kind are good for you in any way. They don't even help you lose weight. In fact, they cause you to think that you um, uh, need more carbohydrates after you drink them because your body's expecting sugar and it's not getting it. So I'm not a fan of that. But fluids and drink consistently through the day. And if you're thirsty, be sure to drink. But by the time you're feeling thirst, you're a little late in hydrating. But if you're drinking consistently all day, it's not going to make much difference, and that's good. An easy way to tell if you're hydrated enough is to simply use the back of your hand and do the pincher move. I hope you can see this. And that's let your skin relax and do a pinch, and then let go. And see how fast mine goes down? And that's what you want to see. When that happens, you're properly hydrated. If you're feeling thirsty, drink. But your body is already properly hydrated. I'm doing pretty good there. If you're not hydrated well enough, when you do that, that skin will stay up. And you can see the effect of hydration on the health of the skin from the inside out. Easy way to do it. Another clear aspect of healthy skin, hair, and nails has to do with getting adequate sleep. And so many people are pressed, and it's a hard life, and pushed, and the economy is this, it's that. People are worried. There's an overload with everything on the news, and there's some awful stuff on the news these days. Take yourself a break from that, especially in the evening, and watch something. This just pure entertainment on the boob tube, idiot tube, and try to laugh and enjoy it, and try not to judge. And I know in my house we got housewives of fill in the blank, and I don't particularly care for it very much, but it gets kind of funny when you let go of the judgments of, oh, look at those silly people, and just laugh and use it as a soft place to land before you go to bed. And watching news before you go to bed is going to be stimulating you in the wrong way. Get a good night's sleep. Now, people ask how long. Well, that depends on what your body is telling you need. And certainly if you're waking up at sunup, that may mean nothing more than your bedroom is too bright, and or it may mean that, gee, you're on a natural cycle. So follow your natural cues and clues, and do so, and you'll be very happy. Listen to yourself. Listen to your body. Your body will always tell you what you need to know if you'll just listen. The helpful products for that, and you'll find this on fainsherbacy.com at the store, would be something like relaxation support. And you can take that before you go to bed, after supper. You can take it just before you go to bed. You can take it in smaller doses during the day if you just want to keep a little comfort in place. The other product that's very useful that's found on my store for improving a good night's sleep is L-theanine. L-theanine is legendary for being extremely safe, and as you take it on a stomach without protein, it should be done, before bed without milk or something along that line. And by the way, I'm not a fan of milk for adults either, so you shouldn't be taking milk if you're an adult. I mean, where do you find that in nature? Come on. Anyway, but anything in the dairy family is actually pretty good. It's just turned and it becomes a good protein source and very tasty. The theanine actually causes our brains to do something really cool, and that's just to go into the sense of I've just had a relaxing massage and I'm at ease. And that if you're really having a rough time, take more. If you're not getting there, take more. If you wake up in the middle of the night, wake up and take more. You're not going to feel groggy when you wake up in the daytime with theanine. Relaxation support can go hand in hand with the L-theanine. However, there is a little bit of sleep herb or sedating herb like valerian in the relaxation support, which helps muscles relax. Very, very good for a good night's sleep. I want to take it too late in the morning because you may feel a little groggy when you wake up, and certainly don't want to have grogginess as you're trying to drive to work or while you're at work. So the relaxation support certainly can be used. Just use it judiciously. If you need more, take more, but under certain conditions. Theanine, totally okay to use at any time. Now, I know I'm talking kind of fast here, but what goes hand in hand here is that which you take either through food or through supplementation that benefits your skin will benefit your heart and your brain. Think about that. Isn't that cool? Your skin is the largest organ in your body, and it has similar dietary nutritional need as your heart does, as your brain does. So anything that benefits your skin will benefit your heart, will benefit your brain. It's a neat combination. Now we're talking about a nutritional approach as opposed to a functional approach that's a nutritional product. I know it's a little complicated maybe, but it all works. That's why you want to look at something like my Skin, Hair, and Nails product. And the Skin, Hair, and Nails has everything in it that we know your skin will need, including synergistic herbs, the vitamins, and the minerals, like biotin and a wide variety of trace minerals that your body has to have, silica for your nails. And you'll find that your nails will grow more quickly, and your skin will improve, and if you're worried about heart health and brain health, everything should have a basis of betterment there. And of course, you won't know that for a long time, but we do know from science and from art that this combination is great together. The Skin, Hair, and Nails, the Hair, Skin, and Nail product is my private label. And in the last webinar, we talked about why to choose a private label and how to tell a good commercial label and how to tell the first tier from the second tier and even older products that are third tier. The private label is made at the time that I order it from a group of pharmacopists who make it and label it in my name. Now, I'm not the only one, of course. I have to make a living too. But these products are fresh, always potent, and a higher quality level than most of the products on the market. The supplement can be taken in place of a multivitamin, and so you could save some money that way. Now, would a multivitamin replace this? No, because this is scientifically formulated to attend to the health of the skin, hair, and nails. Now, the nails, getting back to that, people wonder about how do I get improved nails, and the nails are part of the waste system, as is our hair, actually, and that goes back to proper digestion. Think about that. It's an interesting tie-in. And as you improve that, you improve the foods in your diet, your nails will improve too. People ask me often, what about ridges in nails? Now, this depends, the answer to this depends upon the practitioner you're seeing. Certainly, if there's a long ridge, the length of the nail that goes back into the cuticle, and the cuticle is pulled back, probably you've got a little bacterial infection or maybe a yeast infection back in the cuticle. There are ways of dealing with that from a natural perspective, though it takes a little bit of patience. But small ridges, according to some traditional practitioners, indicate different ailment areas like liver or spleen or something like that. Well, medical doctors will typically look at it and not pay much attention to the ridges, but they will take a look at whether there's a moon on the nail or not, and then whether the nail is a flat kind of nail or if it's a curved nail. They'll also sometimes press on the nail and let go. And then they'll perhaps look at the under eyelid and compare the coloration between the two. This is a measure of health when they're doing that. And they know that. They just don't talk about it very much. But they know that. And that's what the old family practice doctors or general practitioners would often do. It's an interesting thing. The more modern ones are really more oriented to talking with you, doing an interview, and entering into the computerized database. And that's how medicine is working these days. But the art of it had to do with looking here, looking here, looking here, and looking at the overall shape of the nails. How closely should you cut your nails? Well, this happens with toenails as well as fingernails. And basically, you want to trim that little white edge. You don't want to trim down lower than that white edge. And if you do, you're too deep. And it's kind of, quote unquote, getting into the quick of things. And you'll notice that that's uncomfortable anyway. Again, pay attention to your body, and you'll know exactly what to do. I've been talking a lot, and Heath, did you have any questions with what I have to say so far? Has anybody typed in anything?
I think we're good right now. If you are having any problems with the chat room, it's being a little weird and buggy tonight. If you're having any issues, you can just refresh the page, and it'll make the chat room look nice again. But yes, if y'all have any questions during the webinar here, just type them in the chat room, and we'll try to address them as they come up, and we'll have our live Q&A towards the end as well. But I'm good. I think you're explaining everything really well so far, Dr. Fain.
Okay, thank you. I've done this a couple of times, so it's kind of easy. It's fun, too. What you see behind me is where I work, by the way. This is my office. And you'll often, if it was earlier in the day, you'd see Ginger or Robin back here, too, coming and going. And you'll probably hear the printer start whirring and clicking, and you might have heard the ding in the background. That's the front of the house, and this is my office in the back. And I wish you were here, because out my window to my left, I'm right on the hollow called, in the old days, it was called Deer Creek, and it's now called Leatherwood Creek. And there's this beautiful little meandering creek down there that's just gorgeous this time of the year. And of course, it's very green. One of the things that happens here is that the area is so full of life. It's just so abundant in life that we get lots of allergies, and people start to take, the over-the-counter allergy medications, and their eyes start to turn red, and they start to get skin ailments, and their digestion isn't good. And so we always start right back at the basics: improve the digestion, help with the immune system, and that's the pycnogenol that I mentioned. And the curious thing about the pycnogenol, and it's scientifically proven as an immunomodulator. And now what that means is it helps the immune system balance its approach. Now that's unheard of, isn't it? But it's scientifically shown to be true. PubMed, the National Library of Medicine, online, you can go there, and it's free, and you can type in pycnogenol, Pycnogenol. You can find that on my Fain's Herbacy store. You can click on that and you get some information there. And in scientific language, which gives me a headache even, you can, and actually then put a little peppermint on each side here, because that peppermint gets rid of stress headaches very fast. You can get all the information that I'm saying. It's right there. And as an immunomodulator, causes the immune system to reduce its battle with the benign stuff that floats in the air. I'm looking at the window outside here, and causing us our misery. As it reduces that, all of those measures that I first started this talk about, the inflammatory markers start to drop. And the immune system stays strong against viruses and bacteria and early cancer cells, but it takes the effort away from doing great battle with this horrible allergen that needs to be destroyed, which it doesn't make any sense in some way, but it does. And the pycnogenol is very useful for that. Well, I can see my printer is going to town already, so thank you for somebody who's placing an order. That's greatly appreciated. we need to touch on the role of hormones because this affects young people, middle-aged people, and older people too. You wouldn't think younger people, but it does. And most of the time, it's middle-agers that are dealing with hormones. And the hormone health, uh, of course, is complicated, and that's why there are specialties like endocrinology and sometimes hepatologists who are in charge of the liver. And sometimes the liver is considered part of the endocrine system. Most often these days it isn't, but in the old days it was considered that because it has some of those functions. And so that it's very complicated. But bottom lining it, for hair health and skin health, the two areas to look at with hormones in mind have to do first with thyroid hormone. And if the thyroid hormone isn't where it needs to be, that needs to be corrected. And if it is where it needs to be, then your next step would be looking at the sex hormones. And the thyroid hormones can be off in young people, middle-aged people, and older people. And it's an easy thing to get checked out. It's a simple blood test, and you can ask your doctor for it. And I can certainly help you understand your labs if your doctor doesn't take enough time to talk with you about them. I can't diagnose or treat, but I can certainly teach. And I'm glad to do that and help you understand and maybe get a better idea of what questions to ask your doctor, nurse practitioner, medical professional, or healthcare professional. Now, the lab tests overall would be a TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone, and then a T4, T3. Many doctors will only do the TSH. However, if you don't know that your T4 or T3 is in the normal range, you really need to get that combination done once. Get the TSH, the T4, and the T3. The TSH is the most common method for following up on thyroid health, and it's very effective. Those numbers, those blood numbers, have changed over the years. So what was considered normal now isn't. And it's an entirely different ballgame than what it was even 5 years ago. It's easy to do, though, and you can find out very quickly. The T3, T4, the T4 has to get broken down into T3, and mostly that's a function of the liver. And if the TSH is normal, but the T3 isn't, then we're looking at something different. And if the TSH is normal and the T3 and the T4 both are abnormal, then we're looking at a very unusual circumstance most of the time. And that's a different thing too. If there's swelling of the thyroid gland, that can be a few different things. It can be nodules or it could be goiter, and that's something to see your doctor about. And I can certainly teach you about those as well if you wish. The goiter typically is caused by not having enough iodine in your diet. And that comes from improper digestion and or not having enough iodine in your diet, period. And that's easy to fix, though the goiter may not get smaller. Sometimes it does. A lot of times it just remains enlarged. Still functional, but it remains enlarged. Sometimes the goiter gets so big it has to be taken care of, medically or surgically. But that's not often these days. The next set of hormones, after you've determined that those are either normal for you or that have been taken care of with your medical care, would be your sex hormones. And this happens more often in middle-aged women than in men, because men just kind of accept that they're going to go bald, and they do. I'm certainly higher up here than I ever used to be, and I've got a little spot back there that's a little bigger than it used to be, and I accept that, and that's the way that goes. I'll explain why that happens in men, and it's partly true with women as well. Women tend to get more thinning of the hair, And that can be either hormonal or it can be genetic. And if it's genetic, there's just nothing you can do about it, really, from a supplement point of view. For men, this kind of thing and the thinning in the back and the male pattern baldness has to do with genetics on the one hand, and also the amount of testosterone as compared to the amount of bound testosterone. It's the bound testosterone that causes us to lose a lot of hair. It actually builds up in the follicle and pinches the hair off, and the hair drops out, and we lose hair. And as long as we have a lot of bound testosterone, then we're just not as hot and fiery as we used to be. And you can typically tell middle age. There's a crisscross in middle age between men and women because of that. Guys tend to bind more, and we become more mellow, where women tend to have more testosterone in relation to their estrogen, and they tend to be more aggressive somewhere in middle age as a crisscross. It's an interesting, probably survival mechanism for the human species, probably. The bound testosterone is called DHT. You can ask your doctor for a total testosterone test and bound, and that way you'll find out. And there are ways to free up the bound, and you may have heard of something called saw palmetto. And saw palmetto, that's one of the things it does. And and I'm talking from science, and I'm also talking about clinical studies done throughout the world. And can't talk about treating, but we can certainly talk about supplementing so that you're leaning everything more in your favor here. The less bound you have, the better to a point. The brain requires bound testosterone, so you don't want to go too low. The second thing that happens, let's go over women here, and women will, and remember I said it's a crisscross, their estrogen levels will drop, well, they'll produce more testosterone and they'll bind. And so you got the DHT going on there too. And so it gets very complicated, and it would be good to have either your internist, that's an internal medicine doctor, they're really good at this. Some family practice doctors are primary care providers. Some don't want to touch hormones and want to refer you. I don't think the typical person would need an endocrinologist, but if you're referred and you're able to do it, certainly consider doing it and finding out just where you are. This also applies to younger people. It applies to middle-aged people. It applies to aging people. And it's another way of looking at it. Now, are there supplements to benefit all of the above? Yes, absolutely. The thyroid can be benefited. I've got a thyroid support product on my website store. You can see thyroid support. It has everything in it that nutritionally we know the thyroid needs, including enough iodine. So if you're allergic to iodine, try the product anyway, and start with a lower dose and see how you do. Your body still needs iodine, even if you're allergic to iodine. The amount in it is so low that the likelihood of having a problem, an allergy problem is low. But bear in mind, it can happen. So be careful. Just be very careful. Start with the lowest dose and see how you do. If you're uncomfortable with that, try some iodized salt first. And if you're okay with the iodized salt, then try the thyroid support if you're allergic to iodine, and see how you do. Do not go higher and higher and higher, because you'll eventually kick in the allergic reaction to the iodine, and it can be quite serious, so you don't want to do that. Nutritional supplementation can be very useful. It sometimes has drawbacks. But believe me, in contrast to the drawbacks of the prescribed drugs, it's tiny. Can it happen? Yes. Does it happen? Yes. Does it happen very often? No. Very, very infrequently. But you have to be aware. People have food allergies. You have to be aware. Always listen to your body. If you get your hormones done, and you want me to review them, and you want to talk with me, we can do a consultation to do it, or you can send them, and we can do a over the phone, and we can go that way. The consultations are always the best way because it's more inclusive and comprehensive. And I'll teach you what I know. The one other supplement that I want to bring up that's important to talk about, believe it or not, is a good omega-3 fish oil. Remember, that which helps the skin helps the heart, helps the brain. There you go. And you want one that's enteric coated, and you want one that's a little stronger than most, and you want one that's got high amounts of DHA, EPA, and you'll see that on the back label. You can get there are a lot of them on the market, and all of them will give you some benefit, but some of them are going to give you more benefit, bang for the buck, than others. And my private label is one of those. It's a little more costly to buy, but there are a lot of them in there. So over the 2 months or so that you'll be using the bottle, the price comes out very competitively, and you're going to be getting a high quality product free of the toxins from the seed, enteric coated, so you're not getting fishy burps, and higher than most products in EPA and DHA. And that will help not only your brain, according to clinical studies and scientific studies. Remember, go back to PubMed. It's also useful for improving your heart. You know, that's clinical studies and also scientific studies that show that. And it's useful for improving the skin tone. So a really neat combination of things, and you're doing good.
Dr. Fain, real quick, I wanted to jump in here. Since we're on the tail end of the webinar, I just wanted to remind everyone, especially if you got here late and maybe missed the intro, tonight's special offer is 15% off hair, skin, and nails, which is one of the most beneficial products as we're learning to help and treat all these things. So Dr. Fain's been so kind to offer 15% off for all the webinar attendees. But not only that, if you do purchase it tonight during the webinar, you got another 20 minutes here. You enter into a contest to get a free bottle of the probiotic. Let me say this right again: Supremadophilus. You get a free bottle of that with your purchase. We'll have a contest after the Q&A here. So that's. I just wanted to remind everyone. Continue, good sir.
Yeah, and of course, when I'm going to tease Heath a little bit here. Of course, when Heath says treat, he means take care of.
That's right. That's right.
Because we can't use that word treat in business. He means take care of. And taking care of is a good thing. I'm eager to take your questions. I know I've talked about a lot, and I've gone very quickly. And this is an excellent time to get an excellent supplement, and typically less than what it's regularly sold for here in the Herbacy. And it'll replace your multivitamins. So, you know, that's a nice savings too for most people. And the probiotic is a superior probiotic. And of course, that's a free gift to the lucky winner. And if you the way to properly use a probiotic is one a day ongoing, and that's for children, and it's for mothers-to-be, and it's for mothers who breastfeed, and it's for adults throughout their life, and it's just one a day, and you just keep doing it. Now, if you have some gastric distress going on, then you probably would want to do about 4 of these to help kind of settle the belly. And you do that until everything is settled down. And of course, after antibiotic therapy, what I recommend to people is 4 of this particular product a day for the same number of days that you're on prescribed antibiotic. Remember, antibiotics they kill bacteria, antibacterial. And probiotics are beneficial biotics or bacteria. So you want to put the beneficial guys back in after you've had the antibiotics to repopulate the garden, the inner garden. Uh, People often ask me, well, isn't yogurt good for that? And yeah, it is good for that. You have to be careful that it's not an additive-filled yogurt and full of sugar. But the problem with it is, overall, is that you don't get enough families, nor do you get enough of the good guys. Is it helpful? Sure it is. Is it totally what you need? No. Though it's a good food choice if you're careful about the one you buy. And I forgot one more product, and this is a really cool product. Again, you can get it through my Fain's Herbacy store. Just click in and look for MSM. This is my private label. It's an Opti MSM, which is the top manufacturer of MSM. And MSM is a tablet in this case, and it's a very strong anti-inflammatory. But it does more than that. It, as an anti-inflammatory, remember, it gets rid of all of that, it drops all of that interior inflammation on the inside of the arteries. It's very helpful for that. You can get that tested with a lab test called a C-reactive protein test, which you can ask your doctor to do. And if you have diabetes, I strongly recommend, no matter the type of diabetes, to have the C-reactive protein done every 6 months, because that typically is going to elevate. And the lower that number is, the better it is for you. That number can be lowered with a quality MSM product, like the one at fainsherbacy.com. It can also be lowered with a quality fish oil. And if you do the two of them, it's great. The MSM is also a strong anti-inflammatory, and it gets rid of aches and pains. It also improves all three: skin, hair, and nails. It's found in the skin, hair, and nail product that you're seeing tonight at 15% off, with the possibility of winning a probiotic bottle, a bottle of probiotics. But if you need more, to drop inflammatory markers or feel better with fewer aches and pains, the MSM can be found on my fainsherbacy.com store. The usual dosage that I found useful for most people is somewhere between 2,000 and 6,000 milligrams a day, depending upon what a person needs. Certainly on a daily basis, one a day, if you want to use it that way, is good for you. And but you could go as high as 6 a day if you're really dealing with something that you want to get enough in your system to feel. And variable, day to day. You don't have to stay on it forever. You don't have to stay on it every day. You can take it as you need to. It goes to work very quickly and is very safe in its use. Could something go wrong using it? Sure. Life isn't guaranteed to anybody. Is it likely? No. In fact, I've never seen it happen in the 15 years that I've been doing this kind of work. But it can. So, if you've never tried it before, start with one, see how you feel. How are we doing there, Heath?
All right, I am here. Okay, it looks like
Yeah.
it looks like we have a question. It says, let me look here, go through here. This chat room's been acting up, so if you'll have any questions at this point, guys, feel free to go down to the chat room here and just type it in, and we will be happy to address it at this point. We've got about 10 or 15 minutes here left, and remember that if you want to enter the contest, the drawing here shortly, you have to make a purchase on our store right now for the 15% off to enter the contest. I know I am learning a lot during this webinar. I did have a question. I'm doing 4 things at once. I'm trying to clear my mind here and make sure I'm doing all of this. Is there anything else you wanted to add to the webinar real quick, Dr. Fain?
No, I've covered as much that I had intended to cover, and I'm eager to respond to questions, and I'll take the time necessary to fully answer questions as they come forward. This is always fun to do, and it's a newfangled approach for me, and Heath with Red Buffalo Studio is an incredibly good web guy. So I strongly recommend him if you're looking for somebody to help put things together for you.
Don't make me blush. Yeah, the webinars are really fun. If this is y'all's first one to attend, we've made about 3 of them now, and we
Yes.
plan to continue doing them at least once a month right now to just spread Dr. Fain's knowledge. He's such a wealth of knowledge on a wide range of subjects, all related to natural health. So we're going to continue to have these free live webinars with your continued support, of course.
Yeah, a point to make here is that most people know this already, but I hold a PhD. I am not a medical doctor. I have had 20 years in the medical field directly, and then another 14 years as a licensed psychotherapist in private practice in Los Angeles. So I was able to diagnose and treat emotional disorders during that time period. And so put the two together, and it's quite an interesting background. Published about, it depends on how many papers I've lost track of, but I can prove at least 17 at this point. I've lost track of them over the years. But in research, particularly in cardiovascular, nuclear medicine, and but a wide range of other areas in nuclear medicine, and had the great fortune, and it just stuns me to look back on my life, to be around physician scientists that were just tops in their fields, and of course I contributed to them, but just being around them was an amazing experience for me. And so
Wonderful.
now I'm ready to give back in any way that I can from a teaching point of view.
That's right.
Teaching.
And I myself am learning. I'm sure everyone that's attending the webinar tonight is, and it's wonderful that you're doing this. So the questions are coming in here. Like I said, this is acting a little buggy, but I know Jane has a question here. She says, what are Dr. Fain's recommendations for finding quality hair and soap products?
Hair and soap products.
Yeah.
Earlier I touched on that just a little bit, and it's be cautious in your looking at your products, and in particular read the ingredient list. And if there's anything in the ingredient list that you don't want, keep looking. And when you do find a product that you want to try, give it a try and see how your body responds to it. And listen to yourself. I'm not a fan of products with long lists of chemical compounds that I have a hard time speaking. And the shorter that list, the better. And there are some products that are just absolutely incredible. Give you an example, Bronner's line, amazingly pure and clean Castile soaps that can be used for any body part, not just hair. And I think the cleaner the product in terms of the ingredient list, the better way to go. For hair care, it's the same thing. Skin care is the same thing. And some people would even say, don't look for produced creams and lotions. Use coconut oil in your skin. Boy, talk about organic and natural and amazingly good. Olive oil is amazingly good for the skin. I mean, it's pure and natural, and both are really good choices. One of the reasons coconut oil is so good is that it actually has some science. It's been around for a long time for skin. Think about the Pacific Islanders for hair and skin. Oh my! There is some science showing that it actually helps people get rid of early skin cancer cells, and when used early, and that's an interesting thing. It hasn't been clinically proven as far as I know, but there's some science supporting its use for that. And you can buy that at the grocery store. You don't have to look in the sundry aisle at the store or go to a drugstore. You can get that anywhere. We have it here in my store. It's first pressed, organic, and you can cook with it. You can eat a tablespoon a day, and remember, whatever helps the skin helps the brain. Well, it's shown to be beneficial for brain function. And it also is an energy producer. It's a medium chain fat, goes into energy production. It doesn't go into fat storage. And so the calories in it are rarely used to put on weight. And so those are some choices I'd strongly recommend. Natural soaps can often be found by local artisans. And I have a natural soap being made now by a local artisan where she uses goat milk. And I don't have it in stock yet here at the store, but I'll be getting it the first part of September. And, this is a very small business. It's homemade. It's a very nice soap. It's got coffee grinds in it, believe it or not. And then goat milk, and it's a lye soap. And it's useful for a lot of things. She puts coffee grounds in to exfoliate and get the outer layer of dead skin off. Suds nicely, has a neutral scent to it, no added anything chemical-wise. Some thoughts there. Go as simple as you can. Try the product. If you like it and your body's in agreement with it, you've got a good choice.
Great, wonderful. Jane, not really a question, she just wanted to point something out. She says, just to back up your tips about a healthy diet benefiting skin, I have some friends who are on the raw food diet and their skin seems to naturally glisten.
Yeah. Yeah. The raw food diet is quite interesting. You have to be careful on 2 points with the raw food diet, and one is that you're getting enough B vitamins. So it's one of the places where the raw food diet drops down. So if you're cognizant of that and you get your B vitamins from other food sources, then good thing. The other thing is sometimes with raw food, the body doesn't absorb the nutrients in the food until it's slightly cooked. And I'm not saying cooked cook. I'm saying maybe a little bit of a water saute just to break down the fiber better so the body can digest the food better. But one of the reasons why their skin glistens so well is the pure abundance of the enzymes and phytonutrients that you don't get is when you start to cook foods. And it's a good thing. Yes, I like that a great deal, with the understanding that you have to watch particularly the B vitamins to make sure you're getting enough. The glistening skin has to do with phytonutrients, which rapidly degrade with heat, and also the enzymes, which rapidly degrade with heat and time. Phytonutrients are like the beta-cytosterols and such like that. And these are big words that you're typically not going to see associated with food. You'll see them associated with supplements, but not with food. But they're there with fresh food at the farmer's market, minimally processed, washed, and eaten. You bet. Delicious.
Wonderful, yes. Okay, and Katie asks, what is a good vitamin to take to have stronger nails? You might have touched on this earlier, I'm not sure.
Well, it's my hair, skin, and nails. That's what you want to do. It's got everything in it for the improved strength of the nails. And, it used to be thought that if you just did a gelatin, from the grocery store, that would work. Maybe it does in some people, but it has been studied scientifically and clinically and found that it really doesn't add much benefit at all. But my product, the hair, skin, and nails product, has been formulated for the improvement of strength of nails and hair. Hair can get brittle too, and an improvement of the skin. I've been focusing on skin because skin is an organ system, whereas the nails reflect our waste and hair reflects our waste, and which is a reflection of the digestive system as much as anything. So it's a good question. Thank you for asking it. This will improve the strength of nails in most people.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I'm going to jump on PayPal and pull the names of all the people that have made purchases during this webinar. And while I'm doing that, do you want to give any final thoughts, Dr. Fain?
Sure, absolutely. Take care of yourself. Listen to your body. Get enough sleep. Uh, Drink enough fluids. Watch out for taking in too many fluids that dehydrate, especially, you know this in the summertime, but especially in the wintertime when you're indoors with dry air. Remember that it's easy to tell if your skin is, if you're needing fluids, because when you do the pinch, the skin stays up instead of going down. And as you can see, I'm pretty good. So I will be, of course, having a sip of water here in a minute because my voice is getting a little raspy. The the food selection as close to home as you can get it. The shortest the distance between the garden and the ranch and your table. Support your local farmers. I'm a strong supporter of our farmers market here. I'm a sponsor, and it's a great event. I go every Thursday morning. In fact, I have my bag of goodies here, which I'll be taking home, and you know, I can't wait to give these a try. These are fresh from Andrew's garden, and then these from Cecilia's garden. And you see, I even got to learn the names of my farmers, and I enjoy seeing them once a week, and we chat just a little bit, and you know, just catch up a little bit on whose family is doing what and what's going on. And it's nice to do. The water choice these days, if you're unsure, do reverse osmosis for drinking water at home, and be assured that you're not going to deplete your vitamins and minerals and trace elements by doing so. You're certainly going to be reducing your fluoride content and chlorine content by doing reverse osmosis. And if you got fluoride, a lot of people would prefer not to have that in their bodies. And I'm actually one of them. And you can certainly deal with that with a reverse osmosis system. If you want to leave some of the flavor in your water, you can not do the reverse osmosis and go more for the charcoal. And drink as much of it as you wish. And if you're already thirsty, you wait a little long, but drink as soon as you know you're thirsty. The your skin, hair, and nails, along with your heart and your brain, are going to appreciate what you do. And think of how smart that is to take care of your heart, and how much heart that takes to take care of your brain. It's pretty cool. It's the art.
Very nice. Nicely said. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Fain, for sharing your knowledge with us tonight. I have got this fun little contest random name picker that I want to switch to on my screen here. So without further ado, let's run the live contest. Now remember, this is the first one we've had ever, guys, this particular style contest. So thank you for being with us tonight and making your purchases and supporting this. It means the world to us, and we're excited to continue hosting these webinars and hopefully providing wonderful value to everyone. Let's switch to the screen here.
I'm excited. We haven't done this before, so I'm excited.
Yeah, this is a fun little little thing. So can you see that there, Dr. Fain?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, all right. So, this is the name board, and I think I just click it, and it randomly chooses one. So let's see what happens here. I think this is the arrow, if everyone can see that. Let's see. And Neil McDaniel.
Congratulations, Neil.
That's fun. Cool. Neil, you are the winner of the free bottle of Supreme Adophilus here. I'll switch back to this real quick. We will ship that off along with your purchase of your hair, skin, and nails products. So thank you for the support. And guys, I think that concludes the webinar. Thanks for attending. Dr. Fain, any last words here?
No, thank you very much. This is a blast and a hoot to do, and thank you very much for being there for us to count on us. We're going to do everything we can do to make life better.
Cool stuff. All right, well, we're signing out, guys. Thanks for attending.